thank you so much, all of you, for joining this call, because today we are going to learn about not building dashboards in CRMA. We're going to learn about SOQL. Okay, so for people who don't know me, I'm a guru on the SaaS Guru platform. I'm a technical architect and I work at Salesforce. I have 20 Salesforce certifications across really both sides of the pyramid, right? The technical architect pyramid, as well as the system side of the pyramid. I also have expertise or rather experience on the analytics side. So I've worked in almost every analytical tool out there, from Salesforce's Tableau and CRM analytics to SSRS and really everything across the board. I've also worked in a lot of machine learning platforms. In fact, at my prior organization, we stood up an entire machine learning platform that could forecast inventory. So lots of experience there. My life motto is actually very simple. It is, and it's also quite boring, but I do believe that success is all about consistency. So if you want to really become good at something, just be consistent, right? If you want to be the best Salesforce administrator, great, fantastic, right? Just make sure that you're spending 10 minutes, minimum 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day, and you will realize how much these tiny baby steps will help you to become that best Salesforce administrator or developer or whatever you wish to be in your life. I came to United States in 2009 to pursue my master's, and I have been incredibly lucky to be in the tech industry. So I'm really on a mission to help everyone enter tech industry, make it less scary, because I realize when someone is entering from outside, people think that tech is all about coding and learning complex data structures and things like that. And in reality, it's not that daunting. It's actually an amazing area to be in, especially in today's world where everything is tech. Here are some of my social media handles. So I'm very active on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me, send me a DM, say hi. My email is right here. So if you have any questions, you can always email me. Like I said, I'm a guru with SaaS Guru. A lot of students, a lot of people reach out to me on SaaS Guru directly. So absolutely feel free to do that if you have any questions. I also post a lot of content on Instagram. These are short form content, like 15 seconds content about entering in the Salesforce ecosystem or building your career in the analytics world. So if you're interested in short form content, educational content, I would be very happy if you follow my account. If you're interested in long form videos, complete Salesforce training, complete SQL training, Excel training and things like that, again, you can follow my YouTube channel. All right. So next thing, I think most of you know what SaaS Guru is. I've been working or collaborating with SaaS Guru for quite some time, and I think it's one of the best Salesforce platform that is out there for learning Salesforce, right? It has a portal based system. You can sign up for courses. There is free live classes just like this. If you miss these classes, there are recorded sessions. It's being live streamed online. There's an amazing Slack community, and I don't think any other competitor platforms can offer such kind of training. They are really invested in making sure that you are successful, your questions are being answered, right? So if you're not signed up for SaaS Guru's courses, please do sign up. They're absolutely amazing, taught by world-class experts, and there's personalized content built into it, right? So you can see what your readiness score is. There are mock tests and so on. So absolutely check out SaaS Guru. And again, super thankful for SaaS Guru for hosting us today. Like I said, SaaS Guru has a brilliant community. I am very actively involved in it. And again, you get help from gurus, you get help from your peers for absolutely no cost. There's no other platform that will do that, where you say, hey, I'm stuck with the flow, and you'll have a bunch of Salesforce professionals helping you out to make sure that you are successful in creating that flow for your business, right? Or you might have questions around Salesforce ecosystem. So absolutely check out the Slack community, and I believe Ekta is going to put that in the chat, so do check that out. All right. Like I said, there are live classes and webinars. If you missed live classes and webinars, you can go on the SaaS Guru platform and check that out. All right. So I'll do a quick demo of the SaaS Guru platform. Okay. So I've sign in, you can see my certificate readiness score and things like that. There are mock exams. But if you want to do Mentor Connect, right? Like I said, SaaS Guru has one of best set of experts here. So if you want to chat with any of the gurus, this is your platform to go and chat. I am also available here. So if you want to connect with me for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, have some questions that I can help you with, absolutely feel free to connect. There's an incredible Slack community, and I can show you the Slack community really quickly here. You can see that we have over 16,000 members helping each other out, right? So make sure you sign up on the Slack community. So what you will be learning today is this, right? So you'll be learning SOQL, right? So for people who do not know what SOQL is, we'll cover SOQL. We'll talk about importance of SOQL. We'll write your SOQL queries, and we'll also cover some advanced SOQL concepts. I will be going fast, but this is also being live streamed. There's also going to be a live recording of this. So if you can't follow along, that's completely fine. You will have access to the recording later, so you can practice writing SOQL queries. Okay. I promised you that I will start this session by giving you a quick idea of what tables and structures are. So let me do that really quickly. So let me do this. Click new. Okay. So this is your table, right? It's really like, for example, I have accounts. Let's do website, and let's do annual revenue. So tables, what do tables do? Tables just capture information about something, right? So let's say I have my account is Amazon, Facebook, Google, Apple, right? These are my accounts. You have your website, Amazon.com, Google.com, Facebook.com, and Apple.com. And then you could have annual revenue, right? So again, I don't know, $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion, $4 billion, right? So this is capturing information about your accounts. And why do you need SOQL queries? Is you want to extract information. Now, this is Excel, but in reality, your organizations is going to have millions, billions of records, right? Information about your accounts, information about your account's website, information about their annual revenue. And there is absolutely no way that you're going to manage this using Excel, right? That's one of the reasons. So SOQL, the reason we learn SOQL is because you can extract this information. And by the way, I mentioned that we'll talk about what SOQL is. SOQL is Salesforce Object Query Language, right? That's what SOQL is. And the reason you want to learn SOQL is because if you're an administrator, if you're a developer, if you're an architect, if you are in the Salesforce ecosystem, you need to know how to write SOQL. It is used for literally everything, right? You may not actually be writing SOQL queries. For example, if you're writing flows, you may not be writing SOQL query. You might be using, get records functionality. But behind the scenes, that is what is happening. It's actually bringing records. It's running some kind of query operations behind the scenes. So you need to understand the fundamentals of the Salesforce Object Query Language. If you go on LinkedIn, go on Indeed, you search for Salesforce jobs, every job, and I'm not kidding, every job is going to require some experience or some familiarity with the Salesforce Object Query Language. That's why this is very important to learn, the SOQL thing, the SOQL skills. Now, typically, I do have slides. Today, I'm not going to do any slides because I want to make this a completely hands-on session. In the next 45 minutes, I want to cover almost 100% of SOQL and make you guys the experts in SOQL, right? Tomorrow, if someone says, can you write a SOQL query? You should feel fairly confident writing SOQL queries. So I don't want to waste any time in showing you any of the text. Okay, so I'm guessing all of you are pretty familiar or clear with what the table structures are. And with that, I'm going to open my Salesforce environment. And feel free to ask any questions. I'm not actively monitoring chat. So let me quickly See what's in the chat. I don't know why that window is not showing up. Oh, here. All right. Okay, so the first thing to write SOQL queries is, of course, I want to go and check out, or rather, I want to log into my Salesforce instance. Okay, so to write SQL queries, to write SOQL queries, we need some. Where do we write that code, right? So to write that code, Salesforce provides us with the absolute world's best developer console, which you can access from any Salesforce instance. You don't need to download any software. It's right there in your organization. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click on the setup cog, and then I am going to go and click on developer console. Awesome. All right. So I have this developer console here. And to write a query, I can simply go to query editor. So I can click query editor here, right? And I can say select ID from account. And I'm just going to run this and click on execute. And there you go. I get a list of all the IDs. And I know what you're thinking about. You're probably saying, but Sujay, what do you mean select ID? Like an account could have, and if I bring this particular thing here, you might say, hey, Sujay, account could have multiple columns, right? How do you know, how do you find out all these columns? Or even if I go to, let's say, particular account, and let's go Acme Partners. Let's open this up. And if I go to details, there are so many fields here. There's Acme Partners, there's annual revenue, there's USD currency, there's phone number, account owner. There's so much information. So Sujay, how do I find out, how do I correctly type in this particular information? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here, click on open, and I'm going to click on objects. Okay. So again, click on file, click on open objects, and I'm going to click on account, and I'm simply going to double click. So when I double click that, I get a list of all the fields. Do you see this? I get a list of all the fields. So let's start with the absolute basic information, right? Right now, I am only seeing this information on Acme Partners, where I'm only getting Acme information, right? So let's say if I wanted to query all the accounts in my Salesforce org, and I wanted select ID, comma, I want the name. So I'm going to say name. Let's do annual revenue, which should be somewhere here. I want to make sure that I'm typing this correctly. It's this account object here. This account. Oh yeah, annual revenue. Let's make sure this is typed correctly. And then I want website. Okay. And now I am going to execute this query. So there you go. I get a list of IDs. I get a list of, this is names. Yeah, this is names. I get a list of annual revenue, and I also get a list of websites. Okay. So your number one thing in SOQL is how do you query? And by the way, people who are very familiar with SQL are thinking, yeah, this is exactly SQL. And you are absolutely right. This is exactly like SQL. It starts to look slightly different because SOQL doesn't really have joins, which is a great news because joins can become incredibly confusing. So fairly straightforward. To select a particular column, the keyword that we use is select, right? I want to see name, annual revenue, website. So I want to select these three columns, and the keyword that I'm going to use is select. From where? From the object. The object that we want to look at is account. Okay. So we selected these three things: select ID, name, annual revenue, website. So we selected 4 things. Now, let's say you don't want to see all 106 rows of data. You only want to see 50 rows of data, right? You just want to see what the data looks like. Now people who are, if you've done data analysis before, if you have run reporting before, typically you just want to look at the structure of the data. And instead of looking at all millions and billions of rows of data, you are only looking at, maybe 10 records or 50 records, just to get an idea of how the data looks like. So I'm going to say limit 50. Okay. All right. And as you can see, total number of rows is 50. So what did we do? We are just building upon the foundation. We say We want to see ID, we want to see name, we want to see annual revenue, we want to see website from account, but I only want to see 50. Can you please limit, right? That's why the keyword limit. Can you please limit the query to only show me 50 records? And that is exactly what we are seeing here. All right. So we've learned two fundamental principles of SOQL already in the first 5 minutes. We've learned how to select columns. We have learned how to limit the total number of results set. Okay. All right. The next thing that we want to learn, which is super important, is we are going to learn the where clause. Okay. But before we do the where clause, I'm going to change this. I'm going to remove the limit clause and I'm going to add one more field. I'm going to use industry. Okay, and click on execute. All right. So after I use industry, you can see, there are different types of industries for accounts. There's consumer, there's communications, there is financial services, healthcare and life sciences, technology, and so on. Okay. So let's say you only want to see industries, you only want to see accounts where industry is equal to consumer. Okay. Where industry is equal to consumer. So what you will do is you will use a keyword called where you'll use a keyword called where. And what do you want? Where industry is equal to consumer. Great. So what have we done? We are saying select ID, name, annual revenue, website, industry from account where industry is equal to consumer. So basically I only want to see accounts where industry is consumer and show me these 4 fields of these 5 fields. So let me run this, click on execute. Oops, I missed one single quote. Okay. By the way, this is a string. That's why this is enclosed in these 2 single quotes. So let's execute this, and there you go. If you see this industry is consumer, 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 consumer. That's all we're getting, right? And that's what you limited to. Now, let's say you're saying, Sujay, but I don't always want to see industry. What if I want to see industry or what was it, or technology, right? I want to see maybe both. Okay. So what we're going to do is we can use or keyword. Right? So, or industry equal to, I think it was technology, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to click on execute. And there you go. I can see consumer, technology, consumer, technology. Make sense? So we are slowly building upon the foundations of SOQL. So first, we learned to query one field, which was select ID from account. Next, we learned how to query multiple fields. So we queried select ID, name, annual revenue, website, industry, and so on. But to do that, we were like, hey, an account could have hundreds of fields. How do we find out all the hundreds of fields? And I'm doing this because I see few people join now. So we went here to file, clicked on open. We selected the object and we selected accounts. That gave us a list of all the fields. And we simply copied these names, pasted them here, and we could get, list of all records. Then we learned how to filter information. So we said, okay, show me all the information, but I only want to filter it to, let me remove this. Show me filter data where industry equal to consumer. So we learned about a keyword called where clause, right? So we learned where clause. Then we said, well, you know what? I may also want to see where industry is consumer or industry is technology. So we learned about a new keyword called or. And I hope everyone knows what or works like. It is industry is either consumer or technology. So if one of the criteria is satisfied, we will get results, right? And is where both conditions should satisfy. So if I add and here, let's see what we get. We'll get nothing. The reason being, an industry, an account is either categorized as a consumer or it is categorized as technology, right? An account is not categorized as consumer and technology. So both these conditions should be true for and or means one of these conditions need to be true. Make sense? Okay. All right. What else? Let's learn about the order by. Okay, so I'm going to run this query again. All right. So I have these names, right? And if you look at these names, I have Lee Jones, Benjamin Young, Nicole, unknown customer, Ohana Technologies, Acme Partners, and so on. Right? They are not ordered in a specific way. Typically, you want to order something in an ascending order. If it is revenue, you want to order it in a descending order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a keyword called order by. And this makes sense, right? Because we want to order this data by something, right? I want to order this data by name. Okay. And I'm going to run the execute command. And once I do that, everything is now arranged in an ascending order. And by the way, this is default. You don't have to type in ascending. If I say order by name, it's going to show me a list of everything in an ascending order. I can also arrange this in a descending order, right? So I can simply do DESC. I need to specify this keyword because remember, order by name is always and always in an ascending order. And if I want to arrange something in descending order, then we use DESC. Okay. So I'm going to click on execute. Yeah. So as you can see, Zenith, unknown customers. Sujay, why are you writing order by? It doesn't matter. I am just used to writing SQL queries, so I always write order by in caps. All right. So we have Zenith, unknown, Troy. Right. You can see everything is arranged in a descending order. Great. Let's move to the next concept. Next concept is called the in clause. Okay. Now, what is the in clause? In clause is this. I'm going to remove this just for a second. And I am going to execute this command. Okay. So we have consumer, communications, financial services, utilities, healthcare, and life sciences. Now imagine if you wanted to see consumer, technology, or I don't know, financial services and utilities, right? Imagine writing this or statement over and over again. I could get that data and I would have to write or industry equal to financial services or industry equal to, what is it? Utilities. I'm just going to copy this so that I will forget. Click on execute. And there you go. I can see consumer, financial services, technology, and so on. But imagine having 20 values like this. You would have to keep writing or like 20, multiple times. In such situations, the best way to do this, or anytime you're looking for multiple values, the best way to do is to use something called as the in keyword. So what I'm going to do is I need this information. So I'm going to say for industry in, right? In, and I'm only going to paste these values here. So what do I want? I want industries as consumer, comma, technology, comma, financial services, comma, utilities. Awesome, right? So I have reduced my query to this. All I'm saying is, okay, give me everything, give me all accounts, show me all accounts where the industries is either consumer, technology, financial services, and utilities, right? Tomorrow, if you have 20 values, you're simply adding 20 values to this inside these brackets, instead of writing those or statements over and over and over again, right? So I'm going to run this and click on execute. And there you go. It's the exact same result. It's just written in a much efficient manner. All right. Great. Now let's quickly move to the next topic, which is, what do I want to cover? The like statement. Okay. So I am going to go here and talk a little bit about like statement. So like statement is used, it's like a wildcard search. Okay. So let me do this. select name from account. Okay, so you see this, I have so many different kinds of accounts, Lee Jones and Mac and Bright and Wall, Sujay, Benjamin, NetAssist, Pinnacle, so many things, right? What if I wanted to get a list of all accounts that had NI in it, right? So that I could get a list of all United accounts, because I could have United Airways, United Shipping, United something else, and I wanted everything that had United keyword in it, because I can't just say equal to United. The name has United in it. So to do that, typically we use something called as the like keyword, and I'll send you documentation on like keyword. You can read about it, and it's fairly simple to understand what like is. But what I'll do here is I'll say where name like percentage. Sorry, I need this percentage. Let's do NI percentage. That's right. Okay. So when I do that, what this particular query is doing is it is looking for NI. It doesn't matter what it starts with, right? It's only and purely looking for NI in the account name. So for example, NI here, Nicole NI starts with NI. But in the second one, it doesn't start with NI, right? But you see NI in lightning, right? Which is what this percentage sign is for. It's basically saying anything before this is fine. I just need to look at this particular pattern. Here again, Sujay Nadkarni, NI is the final last two letters of my name. Advanced communications, it's somewhere here. So this becomes incredibly powerful when you're looking at something or you're trying to find something, right? Like for example, I could do uni, and let's remove this and execute, and there you go. Now when I do this, I remove the first this, right? And I get everything. I get two accounts called universal containers and universal services. So like becomes incredibly powerful, especially when you're searching for a pattern in a name, right? When you do not know the exact name of the account, right? Like John, or I don't know, something where you're trying to find a pattern. So again, there are different types of these things, and again, you can find that on the Salesforce documentation, which I will post in the Slack channel. So if you haven't joined the Slack channel, by the way, the link is in the chat. Click on the Slack channel where I'll post the video to some of the documentation on the topics that we are covering today. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually write a pretty complex statement, because what we have learned so far is we have learned the order by clause. We have learned the equality, right? Comparison, something is equal to where, and we use where industry is equal to consumer, or where industry is equal to telecommunications, and so on. So what we'll do is we will try to combine all these three things and write a complex statement, because that's what real world business use cases, right? You're not typically going to say, okay, show me list of all accounts, show me a list of give me a list of all annual revenues. Your business use case is going to be, and again, I'm reading my notes here so that I can cover a lot of things very quickly. So your typical business use case could be, show me a list of all accounts, and you have a specific condition and you want to order it by some maybe annual revenue, right? So let's do that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am, let's say, what do I need? Okay, so I need select ID, comma website, comma name, comma annual revenue from account. Okay, just a simple statement, and I'm going to click on execute. All right, now when I look at this annual revenue. The annual revenue has a lot of null information. It has no value in it, and this data is dirty data, right? I need some sort of annual revenue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter this particular data set and say only give me a list of accounts where annual revenue is present, which means annual revenue is not equal to null. So I'm going to say where Come on. Okay. Where annual revenue is not equal to null. Okay. So this, by the way, is not equal to, and this is equal to. So I want not equal to null, and I'm going to click on execute, and there you go. I get this particular thing, right? I get a list of, out of 106 rows, there are 71 rows where annual revenue is not null. There is a value in annual revenue. Okay. Now, what I also need is, there are some accounts where annual revenue is 0. Okay. And so I'm also going to eliminate that, and annual revenue is not equal to 0. Actually, do I need that? Fine, we've added that. So here, what it's doing is, it's saying, give me a list of all accounts. There were 4 accounts which had annual revenue of 0. There were about 35 accounts or so which had annual revenue of null. We've eliminated that. So now we have a clean set of data where we have the account ID, we have the website, we have the name, we have the annual revenue. But the annual revenue is now not arranged in a ascending or in a descending order. When I look at the 67 accounts, how do I know which one is the account that is most important or significant for the business? So I need to arrange this in a descending order. So I'm going to use order by annual revenue. And when I do this, of course, it's going to arrange it in a ascending order. So let's execute this. And as you can see, this is the smallest account, which has an annual revenue of 4,000. And I'm going to type in the keyword DESC, and I'm going to execute this. And now I can also limit this to 10. All right. So what we have here is a list of top 10 accounts for your company in the size of its annual revenue, right? So these are your top 10 companies. Your sales, your CEOs should absolutely have relationship with, because these are the companies that most likely are bringing in a lot of revenue for your organization, right? All right. So this was an example of complex query, and the reason I wrote this is because you can combine multiple principles into one statement, right? Which is what we did here. We selected multiple columns, we applied a where condition, we filtered that data, we ordered that data, and then we limited that result. So you can absolutely combine or different principles of SOQL in this particular this way. Okay. Now, couple of more things, and then we'll get into slightly more advanced topics like traversing parent-child relationships. So I'm going to do again select ID, annual revenue from account. Okay, so when I do this, and maybe I can type in the where condition where annual revenue is not equal to null. Execute. Okay, so I have this information. Now you have 71 rows, but if I were to ask you what's the size of your business, meaning what is the total sum of annual revenue, I don't know, right? I would have to extract this in Excel. I would have to create a report, things like that, right? So you can actually run very easily. You can say sum, and there are different types of operations that Salesforce has. So I'm going to say select sum of annual revenue from account where this, and I get this output, right? So this is the size of my business. If I were to sum the entire annual revenue, I would get this. Now, again, this can be very powerful to run an opportunity. So for example, you could say, I want a sum of all the opportunity amount where the stage is equal to closed one. And this would give you definite revenue that you're going to win. Or you could say, give me a sum of opportunity amount where stage is equal to 1 and close date is next quarter, right? So that would give you the total amount of business, total amount of revenue your organization is going to make in the next quarter. Make sense? Cool. You can also do a count. So this is sum, but you can also do a count. So again, let's say we only have 106 rows, but if you wanted to see, total how many rows you have, you can also do select count ID from account. Okay. And of course, it's 106. We had seen it in the beginning, but these are some aggregate kind of things that you can start doing in SOQL. And again, if you've come from a SQL background, this should be fairly familiar. If not, it's not a very hard concept to grasp, right? If you want to do sum, you use that. If you want to use count, you use that. And by the way, so we learned about sum and count, but you can do average amount, right? You can do average amount. You can do min, max, like things like that. You can do all these things. Okay. This is stealing my thunder because the next thing that I did want to cover was the group by clause. So let's do this. Select ID, comma name, comma industry, comma annual revenue from count. Okay, so I have this. Let me add that where condition. It doesn't matter. So I have this thing, right? Let's say you wanted to see the sum of annual revenue by industry. All right. So what you would see is something like this. Is something like this, right? You want to see industry, annual revenue, I don't know, telecommunications, what was it? Utilities, consumer, financial services, and then you would get some value, right? X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F. Correct? So you want to group this information. You want to group it by industry. Now to group it by industry, we use something called as the group by clause. Okay. So that's what we're going to do here. I want select. Let's remove this. Actually, I don't even want to group it like this. Select. I don't even need name. I just need industry and annual revenue. Select industry, comma, sum of annual revenue. And I'm going to do group by industry. And there you go, right? Very, very easily, you can create this pivot table kind of structures in your organization. And again, I can use any of these things, right? So we learned about, what did we learn? We tried sum, but you can do max amount, right? I don't know what the max amount in this particular industry is. So I can simply change this and say max, click on execute, and there you go. And now I can actually even order it, order by max to max annual revenue. And there you go. My smallest segment is consumer. My most significant segment is technology, right? So I can have millions and billions of rows of data grouped by using this very simple statement called the group by statement. And I can start to understand important metrics about a particular group. So for example, I can find out the max annual revenue, actually, max annual revenue within a particular industry. I can find out the minimum annual revenue inside a particular industry. I can find a sum. I can do an average. So I can do AVG. Let's change this, otherwise it's going to error out. Right? So I can do an average and I can find out which one is the smallest, right? So again, consumer is the smallest, communications is the biggest in terms of annual revenue, right? When I do an average. So very important, right? Because this is something that sales reporting might want to do. They might want to understand opportunities by different geographies, opportunities by different products, amount by different things. So you can write SOQL queries really easily and very quickly like this. Now, for the final things, what I'm going to do is I want to explain Most of you, I believe, are familiar with parent-child relationship. So let's, if not, let me pull up this Excel and explain to you. Actually, you know what? Let me just do this. So this is your parent-child relationship, right? I have an account called Acme Partners, and then I have a bunch of contacts for Acme Partners. Yeah. So I have a bunch of partners for Acme Partners: Paul, Sarah, Xavier, Acme Dispatcher, Joyce Turner, and so on. Right. So now we are not pulling information only from accounts. We are pulling information from two objects. We are pulling information from accounts, and we are pulling information from contacts. Right. So to do that, let me actually go to one of these contacts. And I'm going to click on Edit Object. And I think it's okay. So the link between parent and child is through this relationship. Okay. So how is Paul partner linked to the Acme account? It is linked through this field, the Acme partners, the account name field. Okay. So when you're traversing from parent to child, right, from top to bottom, or from child to parent, these two fields become very, very important. Okay, and I'll explain. So let's say, just to give you an example, let's say I want a list of account name, account website, annual revenue, along with the contacts for each of the accounts. Okay, so to do that, what I would do is I would say select, you know what, let me actually put this here, that way we can use as a reference. Okay, so I'm going to say select name, right? Let's go to the object so that we have all the fields. Can't believe we ran so many queries. Actually, I have this here. Select name, comma, annual, I think it's website, annual revenue. Okay, from account. This is all we can do, right? But if I want to traverse, if I want to bring the list of contacts, then I'm going to write something inside this. So I'm going to say, okay, let's actually do this. If I wanted to bring along with the contacts first and last name. Okay, so we know how to get the name, website, and annual revenue from account, right? We're good with that. Now, to bring the first and last name from contact, I would say, and I'll scroll this a little bit. Okay, so I would say select first name, comma, last name from contact. Good, so far, clear? But I want this in one query. So to do that, what I would do is I'll just take this, Control X, comma, and I will paste this here. Okay, but here it cannot be contact. I cannot say select first name, last name from contact. I have to start using the child relationship name. Remember, contact is the child of account. The child relationship name is contacts. Okay, so I'm going to go here and type in contacts. All right, and let's remove this, otherwise it's going to error out. Okay, so what we have done is from the parent relationship, I got name, website, annual revenue. From the child relationship, right, for Acme, I will get select first name, last name from contacts from account, and I can click on execute, and there you go, right? Let's actually, where name equal to, what was it, Acme partners, let me just see this. Never mind, I can't copy today. All right. So there you can see a list of all the contacts that I have, right? I can get this thing. For Acme Partners, I have a list of all these contacts. And by the way, this comes like JSON. That's why you see first name is Sarah, last name is Phillips, first name is Joyce, last name is Turner, first name is Adam, Mercer, and so on. And what we also saw is this doesn't limit you, right? This you can add where conditions here or even inside here. It doesn't matter. It's like individual query, but that query is pasted inside, right? So again, just to recap, I can remove this. Okay. And I execute this. I get Acme Partners, website, and annual revenue. If I do this, let's say if I did not have this, and if I only ran select first name and last name from contact, it would give me a list of all contacts. Now I want this in this particular query because I want to see accounts with its related contacts. So I want to see parent and child record. So what I simply did was I added a comma here, pasted this here, and I'm using, instead of using the object name, I'm using the relationship name, which is the contacts. Okay. Someone had a question. What if I write only name? Which one will it pick? Amit, let's talk about this. Let me cover this and then Amit, I'll answer your question. Okay, so once I do this, if I add contacts, then I will get a list. I'll get something like this. Okay, so I get first name Sarah, last name Phillips, first name Joyce, and so on. Now we traveled top to bottom, right? So we started with accounts, and then we looked at the children. If I were to start from the child, so let's say I want a list of all accounts, but I also want to see the parent's annual revenue, right? So for example, when I'm on this particular field, I can see the account name, but I can't see anything else. I can't see account website. I can't see anything else. Account annual revenue, nothing, right? If I want to do that, how would I do it? So I'm going to remove this. And again, I'm going to first write select first name, comma, last name. Okay. Now I want fields from the account, from the parent. So let's go back to this page layout. The field name is account. This is my parent. This is my parent. So I'm going to use account, and then I'm going to use a dot function to refer to the field on the parent object. So I can use annual revenue from contact, right? And I can execute this, and there you go. By the way, annual revenue is not even on this particular page, right? There's no annual revenue on this page. But if I wanted to get that, I can get it very easily because I know that this particular child record has relationship with the parent, and I know how I can traverse it. I know the field that I want from the parent, which is the annual revenue. And I also know the relationship to use, which is this, which is the field name. So I'm simply using account dot annual revenue from contact. Make sense? All right, I'm just checking. Any other questions? Someone entered. All right. Cool. That is really it for everything. This really covers all your core concepts of SOQL. And let me open up what we learned today. It's very important to understand the depth of today's class. So we learned select statements, right? We learned the limit clause. We learned where clause. You learned and, or. You learned group by, aggregates. You learned order by. You learned kind of join statements, but you learned how to traverse parent and child relationships. You learned about the in clause, you learned about the like clause. I mean, this is really your entire crash course on SOQL, right? If you watch this video and tomorrow if someone asks you to write a SOQL query, you should be fairly comfortable writing your SOQL query because it covers the core concepts, the fundamentals of your SOQL. Now, of course, we did not cover every aggregate function, but again, for that, you have your Salesforce documentation. You can open up Salesforce documentation and say, okay, how do I find max or min or average or something like that? And you'll have answers to that. But your core concepts of and or, even filtering data, right? Filtering data using not equal to or equal to is something that we covered, right? Where we said not equal to null. So yeah, so this is, we learned 11 concepts in about 45 minutes. So apologies if I went quickly through these concepts, but again, the advantage is this session is recorded, so you can pause and practice along with me after the session is recorded. So yeah, I hope you like this course, and now I'll try to get through some of these questions. So Amit, you mentioned, what if I write only name? Which name will it pick? First or last? Oh, okay. Are you talking about the contact?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think name is a combination of first and last name. If I'm not mistaken. So let's do that. So we have Harry Potter 1. So I think it should show Harry Potter 1 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So it is the first and last name. And it's again a standard field inside Salesforce. Got it. All right. So Sridevi says, can we write select star from account? I don't believe there's a way to write select star in Salesforce. I have never written select star in Salesforce. There might be ways of doing it. Typically, you don't want to do it because you'll have lots of data, hundreds and hundreds of columns. So yeah, so I from what I know, I don't think there's a way of writing select star in SOQL. Can we do a bit more explanations on parent-child relationships? So Gaya, explain to me, what do you want me to cover? Do you want me to cover the traversing portion of it, or what parent and child relationship is? Like the SOQL portion of it, or what the relationship is? Thanks, Mickey. Yeah, absolutely, Amit. Yeah, you can write name, but also unless it's a requirement to show them first and last name. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Gaya, are you still there? More complicated join queries. This is the advantage of SOQL. Typically, you don't have like super complex join queries, but I can maybe give you a quick rundown of what we did in 30 seconds. I'll not be able to do like multiple levels of joins because we only have 2 minutes. But here we have Paul, who is a child record of the account Acme. If you wanted to get a list of all accounts along with related contacts, then you would write select. Let's do select name from account. This would give you a list of all account. But because you also want contacts from accounts, names of account, you say select name from contacts, and we write contacts. The reason we write contacts is because the child relationship here is contacts. So we cannot refer directly to the object name. And if I do this and I click on execute, then I'll get a list of all the account and the underlying contacts. Now, if I were to traverse from child to object, I would say select name from contact. But because I also want the annual revenue, or any field from the parent object, I would use account dot. And the reason I'm using account dot is the field name here, account. That's the parent name, account dot, and then you can refer to any field on the parent object. So I can say account dot website, account dot annual revenue, account dot name, it does not matter. And you can have as many fields, account dot website. Should I put dot website from contact, and then you can click on execute, and it will give you all the information. So again, if you're looking for more complex examples, we can do another session. I'm happy to do that. But we are at the end of 1 hour. Any questions? You have access to the Slack community. Feel free to message me, ping me. I'll be happy to answer your questions.